So good morning as the sun comes up on another beautiful day. We are really lucky and seem to have a great period of weather. We are day 4 today, and it's only 4 days since all this mess was created last Monday morning. So what did we achieve yesterday? Day 3 was a day of digging foundations and preparing everything, because I believe we have a pour of concrete today. But it wasn't just a day of that, it was also a day of a bit of organizing. We bought all the conduits and tubing we're going to need. That's only part of it, because that's the heavy stuff that's going to go under the main first slab, because it's going to get to 2 pours in most cases. So that's the heavier tubing. The lighter one, which will be about 2.5 centimeters, which if you ask every guy is at least that big. That tubing will be going under afterwards. That will serve all my electrics, but the first one will serve most of the things like the water, like the feeds to the underfloor heating, the main feeds, and the drainage, which is over there, which will soon be going in shortly today. So these 2 guys have been organizing all the stuff. There's some of their molding they bring with them. They bought their mini digger. It's kind of a changeover day yesterday from the heavy duty digger, who has now finished this driveway absolutely beautifully. Here you go. I showed you before, but now it's all had the top dressing and another hammering from the machine they have, which when it goes past you, the earth doesn't half move, I tell you. But there you go. So anyway, we're running, we're up, we've got access. We've now got water reconnected here, which I've done this morning. There'll be no electricity to here really, apart from a very meager supply which comes from my house, which just served a light in my bottom shed. But that will be obviously reconnected, because that post up there is where the supply is going to come from. And I am having 3-phase put in, and I can't remember the kilowattage, but I think it's 36 kilowatt rating, which is the maximum, but that's more than what I need. But the problem is I can't have a monophase system put in that would allow all my equipment to run at the same time, even though there's probably no possibility ever that all my equipment I've got in the machinery room and the extraction room and all that would run at the same time. You still have to add it all up and cater for it in case it does. I know this is all a bit tedious and geeky, but there you go. That's the electricity pole opposite the building. And it'll come down there, go under the brand new road they've just done in the last 3 weeks, and then it'll cross into my property there. So I'll have a junction box just in the hedge there, or I've got to sort something out there. I may take out another section of the hedge, and then the electrical connects again. The tubing will go from there directly to the new building. So it will actually work really well. It's nice short distance. I only pay a fee just for the connection, and they have to pay all the fee for digging up the road and everything. Not my problem. Years ago, it would have been so logical to take a spur off the post at the top there. You can see the post there, and they go straight to the top of the other building above in the air. But you're not allowed to do that anymore, because all new connections have to be underground. So that's electricity. That's going to come in from the post there. The water is already on site, and that's from my house. That's going to be rerouted to the main central station there, just next to the wheelbarrow. You can see there. So that's coiled up for now. That was originally running in there, but as I said before, that got a bit damaged, the pipe. So I've just taken the whole thing out and we'll put a brand new one in the blue pipe, the blue hosing, right to the section here. And that other tubing there is the internet that comes from my house. Well, that will be the internet. It goes right up the garden, straight through there, that I put in 18 years ago. And that's going to bring my Cat 6 cables. I'm going to put a couple of cables in, not just one, but that'll hold that. And excuse the heavy breathing, there's a lot of walking going on. Lol. So this is where, this will be the center of the 2 rooms. This room will be like an office, a changing room, a toilet at one end as well, and maybe a stock room, I don't know, but it's just a building. I said, right, we'll heat this one as well, because this has got underfloor heating in this one, and this has got underfloor heating in all that, because obviously that's my extraction room and my warming room. and there's a waste pipe in the corner going to go in there all the way across to there, because here will be the center of the building in technical terms. This is where everything will come in. The heating system from the 2 floors, from the 5 grids this side and the 2 grids this side, will terminate here for the heat pump. The heat pump will be outside between the back of the shed and that wall, another shed wall, so it'll be outside, out of mind, and no noise. The electricity obviously will come in from somewhere here, I've just explained, and it will come up and terminate in here. My junction box will be in here. Probably all the electrical stuff will be in this corner, and a lot of the plumbing stuff will be somewhere around here. But this is about 3 meters wide by about 4 meters long, so it's big enough to accommodate everything, and that will be kind of the nerve center of the building in terms of water, electricity, internet switches, all my network system, all my cameras that are going to be put around the building, and everything like that. So it's kind of all, the concept is all there. It's just being on top of everybody to make sure that they all know what they're doing, but the problem is making sure I keep communicating with them to tell them what I want. And that's the problem, because I forget stuff, they forget stuff. It's written down, but we've just got to keep chipping away at it. Whew. So day 5, we are Friday today. Yesterday was the first pour. It was supposed to be on the Wednesday. That will be day 3. But due to the no availability of the machine that you've just seen, we had to basically wait our turn. There's a big problem with all sorts of things around the world, as you know. But we got some cement delivered. Now this was just to do the footings and what we call the base foundations. But the base foundations are only extra support under where the support beams are. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, including the corners on each side. That's what I'm trying to say, is there's a metal beam that comes down, and the metal beam just sits on that support because it is screwed in but not heavily bolted in, just normal acro bolts. So the great thing is that as long as they make the slab the right size, then the building fits on to the slab. So just to go over again what I was talking about on Wednesday, was the fact that these 2 areas here and here, this is going to have underfloor heating. So I didn't know this, and I was a bit unsure because of my French translation, that basically these 2 areas are going to be finished later when we get the building up. The reason is because we'll put the underfloor heating pipes in, and I'll find you a photo and show you what it looks like before it's covered in concrete. But what the process is you prepare your surface, you prepare a membrane, concrete it, and then you come in with your second insulation. You put your pipes in it, you run them to where the collector is. There'll be a collector approximately here for this big section, for the long section here. So a collector about here, there'll be 3 sections here of heating, so 3 loops, and a collector will be here. And there'll also be another section in the warming room, which is going to be here. So it's a big warming room, but there'll be a collector inside the what we call the buanderie, or the area, all the pipes and everything, like the technical center. That will be where that collector goes, and there'll be one coming from the other side, from the other room here, and that's 2 areas as well. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 loops of pipe that are going to come in, and that will be fed by a heat pump that will be actually just under where my camera is now, but you can't see that, just to the edge of the foundation. But it's great because it'll be just outside, but out of the sun, in the shade, and out of the way of hassling anybody. There'll be no noise from that. So that is what we do, and we finish it with a top coat of what we call chape liquide, which is like literally liquid concrete, but it's a special compound that bonds in. And this particular build is going to be slightly thicker and slightly more reinforced, so I can drive a pallet truck over it. But I'm not putting it in place to drive tons over it, just 500 kilos ish, so that we've got obviously reinforcing in that, still reinforcing. It shouldn't move, but the whole idea is that will be finished later. So what will happen next week is he'll build the squares out here permanently. He'll build an edge around there so that when we put the building on, the footings still have somewhere to go, and that'll be reinforced on top of where the beams are. But we know that when we put the insulation in for the underfloor heating, it hasn't been damaged because the building will be up already. And actually putting in the underfloor heating in the area required later on in the build actually makes it a lot more logical, because you know that you can put that system in completely separately. It's completely tested before it's covered with concrete, and then there's no problem with the system afterwards, theoretically. Generally, if you cover your ass, there isn't a problem. If I put it in now, there's a possibility that something might get dropped on it, or if they try to put the top coat of liquid concrete on it, there's cats and animals all around here that are bound to walk on it in the night, and it'll be a complete mess. I want it smooth. So smooth is what's going to happen to this section of the building. This, incidentally, is a corridor that will mean there'll be a door about here, and this will be access to the small room that will be all the workings. It will be internet, it'll be network room, it will be plumbing, it will be heating and electrics, where it all comes to the same area, but there'll be enough room for everything individually. This obviously is the heating room. This obviously is a changing room, office, whatever you want to call it, with toilets. So I'll be dividing this up after, but everything will be going through here that is we need for the utilities. And this is obviously my main extraction room. So the pallets can come down this aisle into the double doors here, and then I can either stock them in the warming room or leave them here as a holding place, and then take them through to the extraction room after that. And that is the whole idea. I made it wide enough so I can get 2 pallets sideways, so if I have to stack one here or I'm passing, you know how it is when you're working in a honey house, things get everywhere, equipment gets everywhere. So in the extraction room, I'll actually have enough room for the machine to be obviously here, so I can go past with pallets this side, and the honey is delivered in the barrel here or wherever I want to take it to, but it'll be delivered, and there'll be enough room to stack barrels and all that kind of thing in here as well. So that's the whole idea, is I've built it so there's plenty of room. And this area that is the largest area, this is 2/3 of the build roughly, is actually going to be insulated by the stonemason in 90mm insulation. So that will be finished, and then next week, if the weather is good, and it's not looking good at the moment, if the weather is good, they will come in and polish this concrete after it's been done. And they assure me that it doesn't really matter if it rains a bit, because they can use that during the polish period. So I'm kind of really excited with all this, because it means that by probably in 2 weeks' time, this area will be prepared, this area will be prepared, this area will be finished and ready to take the building. Because the building is coming basically in 4 weeks. I've been in touch with Frizzo Kit. All the invoices have been paid. All the delivery is worked out. 4 weeks time, the delivery will be turning up here, and the building will be unfurled as it was, in pieces all around the place. So because it's coming a few weeks after the slab's been done, it means that we'll be able to put the building on the slab in its kit form and have room to work around while we start erecting the building. So there's also space around to stack all the gear. So the long and the short of it is, because the stonemason's really been amazing and decided to just get this done quicker rather than later, it's given everybody a kind of a bit of a kickstart and made this. I mean, 5 days ago this was just a field. Now it's a building site with the foundations in and everything's level where it should be. So it's all really exciting. But obviously there's a lot to do in the weeks ahead, and I'm going to go through that day by day. But it is slowing down now because, as I said, the transition has happened where the heavy plant's gone. The cement came yesterday, and it was absolutely brilliant that the guy was able to drive in, and he even turned here because the ground that we put down enabled that, and just that access makes everything so much better. So it's actually pretty amazing that I can walk around on the foundations now, and this is level and solid and ready to go on to the next phase. So the stonemasons are coming back tomorrow, Saturday, just to add some more sub-base to level this off. Then they'll be putting the screed out, and then that will have its last coat, and they're going to build obviously edges up here, but they can do each section individually, which means that they'll get it absolutely spot on. They use laser levels, as they all do now, but this main area will actually be ready to scree and finish off as well, as I just said, and that will be polished. So there's been a guy in, done a quote, and he's done a price. That the big problem we have to deal with after is the level will probably be, I don't know if you can see this, but it won't come above this ground here. But that's not a problem because the other side is lower, and that's the most important thing. So what I'll do here is I might put a couple of blocks down and build a slight raise up there, so that then if I do a slab here, we can either angle it away that way, or we can sort something else out. But it's just another thing to sort out long term, but we had to make a decision. If we'd have come up any higher with the slab, it would have mean that there's like a heck of a lot more materials to use, because we had to go where we did to make that start. It's always difficult to know exactly where you're going to finish and where you're going to start, blah, blah, blah. But to me, the most important thing is we've got this far. Suddenly, boom, instantly, we're now into a good building site with everything going well. I mean, the ground has been prepared, the sub base has been put in. We're now looking next week at doing building up around the edges, and then we'll be filling the inside with more material and getting that top coat on. Regarding everything else, beekeeping wise, it's all pretty quiet. It's been so windy recently, I haven't been able to treat any of my hives with that autumn vape. But it's still a little bit too early, but I would like to start the tour just to start things off. But you know, as we always say, it is what it is. There's just no point in getting on with anything else while I'm needed here. And I was needed here because I wanted to be part of the build. I was helping dig the holes or helping rake the gravel, even though I don't get paid for it. But I wanted to be doing something and doing what I can just to help things tick along. It's always good if there's an extra pair of hands to do this and do that with the cement, blah, blah, blah. But it's really kind of quite, I don't know, humbling when you have a team that are, I know they're all getting paid, I know they're waiting for their money, but when you get someone motivated and they're all working together, it's really good. So anyway, that is the end of the first week. So today's a bank holiday in France, Armistice Day. So we are now looking forward to the next week, the week after, and within 2 weeks, maybe 2.5, maybe 3, this will be prepared. Anyway, it's all working out great. Stay tuned for the next edition next week, when I'll hopefully have an update on the membrane going down and the scree, and then this bit will be finished, that bit will be finished, and then we're on to the main area for the end of the week, the following week. We're putting the drains in tomorrow, and there's a drain going from there. That's where the sink in the extraction room is. Goes from there all the way through to the boiler room, where we'll need it to take water away from the expansion expansion tube for the hot water cylinder, and then it'll go around to where the toilet and shower is, and it goes out and it will terminate where the septic tank is. And the septic tank will be fitted in maybe 2 or 3 months' time when everything else is done and the building's up, because then we'll know where the levels are, and when that guy comes back with his digger, he'll be able to skim that off and make me a level there, which will be absolutely great. So it's all good. I'm just trying to get my head around everything, all the extra things I've got to sort out, but it seems fine. This is typical project management. See you in a few days. Thanks for watching. Take care.